Hi, everybody. It's Rogan. Welcome to the show. Uh, Today is the birthday of Edgar Allan Poe. Perhaps you've heard of him. Um, it, I was going to say he's one of my heroes. One, Once, when I was really into crystal meth, I became convinced I was a reincarnation of Edgar Poe, and I wrote a biography of him, several hundred pages in length, over the course of about 2 or 3 weeks. And then when I sobered up, I think I threw it away. I might have given it to Jeremy, but I'm a pretty obsessive Poe fan. Um, is the point of that story? Um, and and it's his birthday today, January 19th. Um, so now I haven't said so, but when I was fooling around not long ago with doing audiobooks, dramatic reading, because I'm good at it and I like to read out loud. I One of the reasons I stopped doing it is because my laptop. Hold on. Hear that? That's the sound the fan in the side of my laptop makes. So uh, I could be reading lots of cool public domain stuff off the laptop, but I'd have to prop the phone somewhere near that noise while I read. So that's why I haven't been doing it until I get the laptop fixed or like start having real books here again. Um, but I will read some Poe later because I want to read some of Eureka out loud. Um, when Poe uh, was dying, basically, his wife Virginia died of an aneurysm, and it took him, I think, a couple of years to basically to drink himself to death on the fly, or passed out drunk outside in a storm is what happened to him. But he wasn't in good shape after Virginia died, and he really wrote only one more major work, but it's a major work that's been kind of forgotten. This long essay, book length essay called Eureka. Um, it is a rambling, thoughtful um, essay, I guess, about the structure of the universe and reality and a bunch of concepts from physics, some of which didn't yet exist when Poe was talking about them when Eureka was written. Um, the manuscript, well, by all accounts, he just lost his mind because Virginia died. And Eureka reads like the product of a serious episode of amphetamine psychosis. I don't think it could be. There's no solid information on what drugs Poe may or may not have been taking. Um, I mean, we don't even really have great information on whatever that era's equivalent of like over the counter cold medicine is. There's a bunch of stuff like that nobody takes anymore that were dangerous narcotics in Poe's day. I tried to figure out what drugs Poe was into. He had a real drinking problem. He'd start drinking and just get blind drunk and not remember what he did for like 3 straight days. But it's also pretty clear he was at least at times on drugs. He had recurrent ear infections that were really painful. So, and there's several things he could have been taking for that. In any case, Eureka reads like the product of a drug episode by somebody who's a brilliant writer. So towards the end of his life, Poe got famous as the poet who wrote The Raven. And The Raven's really famous. And the reason is it was famous in Poe's day. And the reason it was famous in Poe's day is because there was no copyright protection for reprinting essays, short stories, poems, art. You could print anything in a magazine. This was the beginning of the golden age of magazines. There were a lot of magazines, and they would reprint each other. They would steal each other's shit and reprint it constantly. So when The Raven was a mega hit, it was because pretty much every magazine and newspaper in the country stole it and reprinted it. So Poe never got paid for any of that, but it made him famous. Like I said, he was a bad drunk. So towards the end, he would do this thing. We'd walk into any bar, walk up to the bar, say, I'm Edgar fucking Poe. Buy me a fucking drink and I'll recite the Raven for everybody. And everybody in the bar would be like, woo, all right. And they'd buy him rounds of drinks. He'd get up on a table and recite the Raven from memory. And a little while later, he'd do it again. And a little while later, he'd do it again. About the third or fourth time on any given evening, he's hanging out in any given bar and has recited the Raven for free drinks several times. He would get sort of really drunk and climb back up on the table and explain what his epic prose poem about physics and the structure of the universe, Eureka, was. And he apparently had Eureka memorized too. He'd start reciting Eureka from memory and basically like get booed off the table and get kicked out of the bar for insisting on reciting Eureka from memory. He did this a bunch of times, the Raven, and then more drinking, then Eureka, and then he gets kicked out of the bar. So and Eureka is so smart and so weird that you read it and I mean, part of the reason it's not famous is because, I mean, I'm smart. I'm not really smart enough to easily follow Eureka from thought to thought or from sentence to sentence. It seems to be really highly organized and it's definitely really brilliant. Also seems to be like something of a drug rant. Now, I can't read the whole thing. It's long. But later on, when I get back to it, I'll pull it up on the laptop and I'll read some from Eureka, regardless of the noise the laptop is making in honor of Edgar's birthday, because woo, celebrate a birth that he himself probably didn't exactly celebrate wholeheartedly. But anyway, I thought it was the story about Eureka and the writing of Eureka and why and how it has been pretty much forgotten. People don't know about Eureka by Poe. That has always fascinated me, and I've always thought it was one of the best things he wrote. So yeah, later on when my phone is charged up, because it's got like a 4% charge right now, later on I'll do some I'll read some Poe, and I'll read from Eureka probably. Maybe one of the short stories, but definitely Eureka. With apologies in advance for the lack of silence coming from the laptop slowly puttering its way towards its demise.